Now starting, all attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to another CW webinar. I'm Wanderson Teixeira, and this time we will bring you the main highlights of our volume forecast report, first half 2021 update. On today's agenda, I will share some information about today's presenters and give you an introduction first of our company, what it is that we do and what we have to offer, and give you some insights of what you can find in our volume forecast report. After this brief introduction, we will move on to our report's highlights, focusing on a macroeconomic outlook, giving you an overview of cement consumption, leave you with our final remarks, and of course, the answers of today's question. Will regional cement market growth patterns change as a result of the pandemic? For today's presentation, I would like to introduce myself, Wanderson Teixeira, Junior Business Analyst at CW Group, as well as Vasco Teixeira, also our Junior Business Analyst, which was the responsible analyst on the report that is going to be presented today, both of us based in Portugal. Now, I would like to give you a brief introduction of our company. Please bear with me. CW Group is present across three distinct verticals: advisory, research, and media. Under our advisory umbrella, CW works with major consultancies and leading institutions. This includes the World Bank and funds on various projects. We provide consulting and advisory expertise on a diverse product portfolio. For example, a recent sample of advisory projects that we have provided include a complete business process analysis for our online art gallery website. We also provided a detailed feasibility study for a Middle Eastern petrochemical company for the manufacture of a specific chemical compound. And more recently, we have done an advisory engagement for a defense contractor who's looking to enter into the secondary explosive manufacturing. Under our research umbrella, CW focus mainly on cement demand globally, as well as detailed industry country reports. We provide historical and forecasts for markets in a variety of products, including one of our main products, which is the TPR, Trade Prices Report, and VFR, which is our volume forecast report, that is going to be discussed today. We also provide commodity price assessments for cement, clinker, as well as petcoke and coal. And last but not least, under our media umbrella, you can have online access to our vast database. You can also subscribe to letters of topics of interest, and we also have some industry-specific meetings, which of course, because of COVID, are happening online, but as soon as possible, we'll be back to be in person. Now, to provide you a better understanding of what it is that we can expect from the CW forecast report, we published two versions yearly. The extended version is published in November, and a quantitative update is published in May. In our short version, the report includes a global and regional analysis of cement production, consumption, net trade, and capacity. We also provide a forecast and capacity revision for 2020 and our forecast for 2025. And for this version, we are continuing with the methodology adopted last year, in which we are providing three scenarios. In terms of country coverage, here in this map, as you can see, we have a representation of the footprint covered by our VFR report. It is our constant endeavor to increase our coverage, but this is also dependent on the availability and consistency of information. In terms of methodology, Our VFR includes a historical annual data on cement production, output capacity, consumption, and net trade. Our forecasts are made country by country based on past tendencies and macroeconomic data, such as GDP and population. And our regional forecast is estimated by the number of sample markets. We also, as I mentioned before, provide our clients with two additional scenarios, excluding our base scenario. Now, I would like to start presenting you a brief overview of the global economic outlook so we can start off. So, according to the IMF, even though the global economy is expected to see a recovery in 2021, divergences across countries and sectors, they still reflect the variation in disruptions induced by the pandemic and extension of policy support. In the case of advanced economies, the IMF expects that all of them are set to see a rise in 2021, particularly in the euro area. Spain and Italy are set to see a sharp recovery from the deep contraction that they had last year, which was mostly caused by the pandemic. After also a sharp decline last year, we are expected to see only a mild recovery for Latin America and Caribbean in 2021. And the long-term outlook, unfortunately, continues to be dependent on the successful vaccine rollout. On an average, countries that started vaccination early are expected to have a better prospect. However, as we see a third wave of cases surging in various regions and new variants, the short-term outlook still remains very challenging. Of course, when talking about global economy today, we cannot forget to mention COVID, since it's been a tool now in the global economy. As of today, globally, we have 635 million cases of COVID-19, with the US, India, and Brazil being amongst the countries with most cases diagnosed so far. Even with the vaccination program that has been adopted by those countries in the beginning of the year, we are noticing a resurgence of cases in the past couple of months, which poses a major concern to those economies. And in addition to that, we also see new variants that are being spread across many regions. For example, the Delta variant, which was first diagnosed in India, is expected to account for 90% of new COVID-19 infections in Europe by late August, according to the European Disease Control Agency. Also, another factor that we take into consideration is crude oil prices, which highly affects countries mostly in the Middle East and North Africa. In terms of crude oil prices, we saw in May that they reached an average of $68 per barrel, up $4 from the previous month. This was mostly caused by the global oil inventories that continue to decline. The EIA expects that in the coming months, global oil production would increase in order to match with the rising global oil consumption. Now, in terms of prices, the agency is expected to see the prices remaining near the current levels that we have today in the third quarter of 2021 at an average of $68 per barrel. Now, I would like to pass the presentation to my colleague Vasco Teixeira. Thank you all very much.
Uh, Thank you, Wonderson. Hello, everyone. I will lead now the presentation, and I will go over the main highlights of the volume forecast for the first half of 2021. Next slide, please. In this first slide, I would like to give an overview of the regional demand growth. So, firstly, in Western Europe, despite the challenging environment, cement demand growth in 2020 was revised upwards from the previous edition of the VFR. In Western Europe, cement demand decreased in 2020, with major markets, including France and Germany, witnessing a slowdown. For 2021, cement demand is expected to see a recovery, increasing by an estimated 2%, mostly driven by the markets of Spain and Italy. In the Asia ex-China region, cement demand is likely to see an increase of around 5%, driven by the markets of Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. These economies are starting to recover from the effects of the pandemic. In the Middle East region, it is also expected to see a boost in cement demand in 2021 after a small increase last year. Lastly, cement demand in China is expected to increase around 1% after a slight decrease in 2020. In regards to the global consumption, CW estimates an increase of around 2% in 2021, while global ex-China is likely to increase almost 4%. The expected growth in 2021 can be attributed to the sustained demand in China, as China managed to contain the pandemic and restart its economy as the world was shutting down in 2020. The cement demand growth in 2021 is also attributed to the recovery of demand in the US and Western European markets. The US construction sector in 2020 wasn't heavily affected by the pandemic, with only a few delays. The outlook for 2021 seems even brighter, with the majority of products that were stopped returning to their normal activities. And in Western Europe, cement demand slowed down in 2020. However, this region is also expected to have a positive economic growth in 2021, and construction activities are expected to return to pre-pandemic levels. Despite these optimistic expectations of economic recovery in 2021, the emergence of new variants of the coronavirus and the increase of cases in Asia may reduce the growth prospects if new cases are not brought under control. Since the first half of 2020 edition of the VFR, our research team has taken the onus of providing its clients two scenarios in the edition of the base scenario on which this report is based. And these are the conservative and the optimistic scenarios. We have taken this step due to the unexpected events resulting from the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. So in this update of the VFR, global cement demand is estimated to increase around 0.4% in the conservative scenario, whereas cement demand is estimated to grow around 3% in the optimistic scenario. In global ex-China, in 2021, cement demand is estimated to increase around 1% in the conservative scenario, and according to the optimistic scenario, cement demand is expected to increase around 6%. Before ending the presentation, I would like to provide a few closing remarks. Firstly, the global economy is expected to recover as a result of the recuperation from the pandemic, supported by the vaccination programs. Secondly, cement demand is expected to increase globally in 2021 as a result of the economic growth and the recovery from the pandemic. This cement demand is expected to witness the biggest growth in Asia ex-China and in Eastern Europe. And lastly, in 2020, global cement demand declined around 1%, and in 2021, cement demand is expected to rise around 2%. In order to end this webinar, I would like to thank you for your time and your attention, and see you on our next webinar.